Good morning. So I was taking my morning jog. Something came upon me, and I was just remembering back in the day. Somebody asked me what my end game was when it comes to planting all these tropical fruit trees in an environment where they shouldn't grow. So, and it occurred to me at the time. I mean, I at the time I thought the question was similar to someone asking, why do birds fly south during the winter time? I mean, I thought that was a pretty obvious answer, and the reason for that is because obviously it's too far to walk. That's why they fly south. But wanted to talk about some of the reasons why me personally I choose to plant all these trees where it's pretty rare that you find the fruits in your local supermarket. So the only option really would be just plant it yourself and grow it yourself. So I wanted to talk about really the reason why I choose to plant these is, selfishly to consume the fruit and therefore hopefully keep me healthy. So I wanted to talk about a couple of trees that have the potential to really fruit year round. And also there's a lot of health benefits. When it comes to health, the subject matter is very, very, there's a lot of information out there, let's just say. So take my word with some grain of salt. But I wanted to start off with this guy is a Soursop. These trees right here are Soursops. This guy and also this guy right here, both of these are going about 3 years old. This is the more matured one. In fact, if you come closer a bit, this particular tree did already flower, but as an experiment, I did not hand pollinate them. I just wanted to see what they would do in the Central Valley's environment, and of course, naturally, all the flowers came off just because I did not pollinate it. Because we are approaching winter. I mean, we came straight from summer just 3 weeks ago. We're skipping fall, going straight to winter. It's forecasted to be, recently it's been in the 40s, low 40s. 2 weeks ago it was 36 degrees. It's forecasted to be in the high 30s now going forward. So with that being the case, and Soursops are true evergreens. They are tropicals. When the temperature gets below 40 or so, these guys will really start stressing out. With that being the case, I do want these guys to go into survival mode. So I'm going to be going just and plucking out this flower, unfortunately, and therefore giving much of the energy instead of going to food production to just survival mode. Again, this one is 4 years old. These two back here are about 3 years old, so they should be flowering and fruiting next year. With Soursops, most of the time, the propagation method is from seeds. A fruit this size generally contains about maybe 3 dozen seeds or so. So that's potential for 36 trees. And the cool thing with Soursops is from seed to fruit producing tree, you're talking just 3 years. This guy started flowering last year, this year actually, which was about 3-ish years. So these guys should be fruiting next year. Cool thing with Soursops, again, take it with a grain of salt, okay? There's been found to be a lot of anti-cancer properties with the tree itself, including the fruits. The fruit itself is like delicious. So that's just, forget about all the health benefits. Just eat it because it's that tasty. So on the note of being tasty, there's a tree here. This is a miracle berry. This particular tree will make anything tasty, basically, in the sense that if you've got a fruit that isn't as sweet as you thought it'd be, or if you want it to be sweeter. So this is already pretty sweet, but there is a slight tartness to it. If you eat the miracle berry here, which there are a couple of fruits here, if you come closer, the fruits are at the green stage as of right now, so it's hard to see. But that's one, another one over here. But these fruits will be ripen within generally about next couple of weeks. And the cool thing with soursops is, miracle berries is there is a protein in the fruits which will coat your tongue and essentially has effect of turning things that are sour really sweet. So that means if I consume a miracle berry for about 30 minutes or so, if I eat lemon, anything that's sour, it has the opposite effect, and that the fruit itself would be crazy sweet. So now if I eat anything that's sweet, it's going to make it magnitudes sweeter. In addition to the fruit just being nutritious in general, from what I've read, the miracle berries help out folks who have diabetes. What great way to have some sweet in you without having the glycemic effect. So I've heard that these help out people who are going to chemotherapy. I don't know anything about it, but evidently there's a metallic taste when you're going through that process. So this, by consuming this food and then eating whatever you're eating, it helps out to eliminate the nastiness of the metallic taste. So miracle berry. The sad thing with miracle berry is again, also just like soursops, they are cold sensitive. Also, another bad thing about miracle berries is the soil pH is insanely low. You've got to have it between 4 and 6. The way that I have this particular tree planted here is majority just peat moss with sand added for drainage. Peat moss has a pH of about 2 or so it's a break down. It should help to acidify the tree a bit. And looking at the state of the foliage, it looks great. I don't see any evidence of nutrient deficiencies on this guy. So I think I'm in the right spot. Both of the soursops and the miracle berry will want obviously heat protection in the winter time. Both of these start stressing out when it reaches about 40 or so. And also, more importantly, during the summertime, they are gonna prefer some sun protection, which is why I've got it nestled back here underneath this guava here. And also, if you look at right above us, that bamboo there is becoming a mom to all of these and sheltering them. So it's all about the little microclimates that you can produce for these trees to assist them with just shading them and protecting them from the valley's harsh elements. Another tree that I wanted to discuss is going to be this guy right here, a white sapote. In addition to the fruits being just nutritious, the fruit is actually really, really good tasting. So you've got the added benefits there. White sapotes, if you look at it, although it's already fruiting, or it's already fruited, it's also in the process of also pushing out a new fruit, new flowers, that is. So the cool thing with this white sapote is, in my opinion, it is highly underrated. It does phenomenal here in the Central Valley, particularly with our winter. In fact, it actually needs some winter. It's not necessarily a chill hour thing. It's just it likes it to be kind of cooler. And with that being the case, of course, I'm not going to remove the flowers. I'm going to just leave it here. So the unfortunate thing with white sapote is, for the first couple of years, it'd be nice if you can provide it with some shade. Otherwise, these guys do get sizzled just a bit easily when they are a bit young. This guy is going about 4 years now, I believe. Yeah, it's about 4 years now in the ground. Very long-lived tree, and they can grow to a massive size. I mean, we went down to Champa Nursery occasionally, and they've got front and center like a massive white sapote tree there. It is probably reaching close to, I would say about maybe 40 or 50 feet. I mean, that thing was massive, loaded with fruits. So white sapote, I'm gonna go and just cut out the fruits here for you. So white sapote, you can't eat the skin, obviously, with the soursop as well. But just a fun tip. I'm using a peeler just because I unfortunately lack the skill sets to use a knife to peel these. So that's why I'm using a peeler. But yeah, the consistency is, I mean, it reminds me of just eating like a stick of butter, but you know it's all the goodness is going into you. So the thing about eating fruits really to me is, in addition to all the minerals and vitamins that you get from the fruit, is you're also feeding your microbiome, the gut bacteria that is inside of you. It tastes just like ice cream, really sweet. So going back to feeding your microbiome, there's a lot of fiber in these, and most of the time your body cannot digest fiber. So with that being the case, you know, your gut bacteria are the ones that are digesting the fiber for you. And of course, everyone knows fiber is good for you in the right quantity. You don't want to go overboard with fiber. But yeah, that's really one of the best tasting fruits out there. Of course, here it is, the almighty Soursop. Again, purported to have a lot of anti-cancer properties. Take that with a grain of salt. But that's the seed. Probably should have gotten a spoon with me. But yeah, it is very creamy. Yep. You know, I'm gonna toss these down here and see if volunteers grow. But it is really good. You've gotta, in your lifetime, you've gotta try a Soursop. The cool thing with Soursop is every once in a while you might be lucky and could locate one in like maybe an ethnic store, but be prepared to shell out some money for them. They're not going to be cheap, just because they don't really ship well. I mean, I actually bought these right here, although I do have the trees. All these fruits were purchased from an ethnic store in Los Angeles. Yeah, these are not going to be cheap. I want to say they were like 15 bucks a pound. So, I mean, to me, it's well worth it. So I'm going to take you to the front where I've got one other tree that I like to share with you. The other tree that I wanted to talk about, or fruit actually, is if you do any form of aerobic activity, this is going to be your best friend. The fruit is really low in calorie. A good sized medium to large fruit is about 25 calories. Not superly sweet, but also at the same time, to me, it's got the right balance of sweetness. But the cool thing about this particular tree is, again, low in calorie and also very, very high in fiber. And that would be the star fruit. This particular tree is actually, if you come closer, it is going through the second stage of flowering and fruiting. Star fruits trees in the valley, they do really well. Very, very tolerant of our soil. I mean, when I planted these, I mean, I minimally amended the soil, but they seem to have exploded in growth. Let me see if I can find some fruits for you. Oh, actually, there's a bunch of them down here. In fact, like everywhere. Again, this is the second set of fruits. Softwood trees in the Central Valley generally will fruit twice a year. We picked the last set that were from the spring to summer. We picked the last fruit about a month ago, so this is the second season. With the fruits being this size, got another one here. I mean, as you can see, this guy is loaded. I mean, it's got fruits and also it's at the same time flowering at the same time. If you come here, there's like a crap ton of star fruits, of course, in various sizes. That's a big guy right there. I generally wait until the fruits are yellow before picking them. That way, it's at its maximum ripeness. So the thing with growing star fruits is you're gonna want to give it two types of protection. When they're young, when they're a couple of years old, maybe 1 or 2 years old, see if you could try to provide it with some frost protection. These guys will typically bounce back if it dies down to the ground, but then you're having to start from bottom up again, as opposed to if you could somehow provide it with some protection, it'll just keep growing. So when they're young, provide it with some frost protection, and when they are old, such as these size right here, you still want to provide it with some wind protection, which is why I've got it strategically placed here between my property and the neighbor's house. So that way, when we get the northerly wind coming from that way, the properties are protecting the trees. Yeah, these guys are not a fan of the wind. But beyond that, we'll take our summer without problems. The cool thing with starfruit trees is it's very versatile. If you look at it, see how it's basically positioned between the house here, which means it doesn't get the full 8 hours worth of sunlight. They're okay with that. I mean, these trees can be grown underneath other trees. I mean, if you look at the papaya here, it's blocking most of the sunlight, and they are okay. I mean, yeah, the more sun you give it, the better. But at the same time, these two trees have adapted to in living in a low light situation, and from the amount of fruits that they have produced and are continue to produce, I don't see any issues with it. So anyhow, just wanted to kind of tell you, really, just the reasons why I planted this is just so I can consume the fruits and maintain a good, healthy lifestyle. If you look at it, I mean, most modern medicines come from the Amazon rainforest, and most of the trees that I have come from either they originate either from the Amazon rainforest or the jungles of various countries, Southeast Asia, for example, and yeah, and the people there seem to live a pretty balanced lifestyle. So why not incorporate this into our Western lifestyle? So anyhow, just wanted to kind of show you. All right, have a good morning.